So I just want to first state, um, what's the objective of this? The objective is not necessarily to be like, this is where you made a mistake, this is where you did something bad. I think this team has many competitive advantages against this league. I think you're one of the most athletic teams. I think you're one of the most versatile teams. I think you're one of the more skilled teams. However, I think your basketball IQ and knowledge is just that's one of your greatest areas of growth. It's not like you're dumb. It's just I have watched hundreds of thousands of hours of basketball and played. And so the one thing I would say for all of you, especially this offseason, is you just need to watch more WNBA basketball and you need to watch away from the ball. Watch the whole game and do not watch what the ball is doing. Literally watch everyone else or watch the people screening for the ball. You just need to learn how the best players in the world take advantage of advantages. If you can't create an advantage, that's different, right? Like, and then you all need to work on one-on-one, and I'm going to give you lots of developmental stuff at the end of the season. However, most of you have an advantage. If I put you in a one-on-one situation, the bigs, you have mobile bigs, like Autumn, you can continue to increase your ball handling, but Sav and Melee, every time you catch at the three-point line of 15 feet, I feel confident you can get past your big defender on the dribble and draw a second. Like you have advantages at almost every position. So everyone needs to understand, I think, have a higher basketball IQ and understand how to move off of those advantages. And that's what today is going to be a lot about. I also think you're leaving 8 or so points a game in transition. You're just not looking for certain opportunities or doing certain things. So we're going to break down all those things. You got to have a growth mindset. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just going to show you, and certain things like it's a little gray. You still made a great play. I'm going to point out all the options that could have been on the play that you might not even be aware of, right? All right, so let's jump in at Linfield. Okay, so in general, um, I think, and I've coached Poe and Nat on this, but I think the whole team needs to be aware of it. I think the moment after a make and the moment of transition, y'all were losing an opportunity in those first 2 or 3 seconds. So people do rabbit, people do sprint, but people aren't looking for the ball. And whoever is throwing the ball in or catching the ball needs to be stealing space on the pass. Okay. So they're going to make a shot here. Right. As soon as this shot goes in, okay, um, Poe and Nat, here's something where, you know, Poe saying Nat's got it. If Nat is catching here, first off, Nat needs to be catching it here. And I'm going to show you positive examples of that. Okay. Because that 10 feet of space, you're giving them another second and a half to get organized and communicate. And oftentimes that second and a half is the difference between opportunity and not. Okay. So right now, Nat one, if she'd have caught it further up, she'd be here, which puts a different pressure on the defense. But all of you need to start to look at the defenders' heads in transition. If I was Nat right here, I would very likely be throwing the ball right now to over here. Why over here and not why right here? Because I think this guard would steal it. But this big is slower than Autumn, and her head is turned. Okay, so she has no idea that the ball could be coming. All right. I love that Claire threw one to you last night, Savannah. And I'm going to show you that and show you what you need to do on the catch, right? But that was beautiful. That needs to happen way more because this conference in particular, but I would say argue all of college defenders are bad in transition. Okay. So this to me is an opportunity, right? If Poe is sprinting down further and this guard comes to help on that pass, first off, Autumn's going to catch it higher than her. And Autumn and Sav, Melee, you need to be catching on a momentum stops where you catch and you stop and be keeping it up high and looking for the guard. Because what a entry pass is going to do in the transition, it's going to suck everybody in, and then it's easy threes from there. Okay. Now, what I do like about this is paint. I think Nat could be trying to get into the paint. But this to me is not E2ing, right? And so it's not just going to be Nat. It's a lot of people. You come up and you think, oh, you should never let one stop you. Okay. So I understand, maybe trying to think to run offense, but to me, it's okay. My objective is actually to get either, I'm going to either get Autumn a layup, or if she sucks in, I'm getting Poe a three. So this should be a layup or a three, in my opinion. Nat can beat her to this spot. But the angle she takes is, this girl's starting to go. The angle she takes is, oh, I'm gonna already have decided I'm gonna hand it off. You see the angle? She's attacking side, right? So I still think there's opportunities for you guys to attack the paint even more in transition. Okay, so I like that possession, right? Autumn, you got to be careful of opening up. So when you set the screen, so first off, in general, here's a basketball cue thing that you guys did it well in this one, but when you're in horns as the screener, you want your butt to be facing where you want your guard to go. So generally in horns, this one's better, but you're going to see some horns where butts are facing to the sideline. You want your butt to the corner in horns because it gives your attacker a different angle, right? So Autumn, when she goes under, you got to be careful of this. You got called on it later in the game of just opening like that. You either have to roll or you just stay like that and let Poe play cat and mouse. So cat and mouse is if I go over, so if you're here and I go over that screen and the guard goes under, I'm going to stop. And some people call it tic-tac-toe, but I'm going to keep them directly behind you. Even if you're, like if you open up, yes, she has a wider screen to go around, but you could get called for the moving screen. If you stay, even if you stay horizontal, right? Poe can play cat and mouse, so whatever side the guard comes out, she can attack the other side. So in general, I think in what you started to figure out a little bit last night, you started to see a little bit last night. I know that the posts are still developing, right? And I know they're going to be insanely dominant over the next 2 years. They still have a competitive advantage currently, right? And you saw multiple times we got a three off of a kick out, melee, I think twice, right? So we need to get the ball to the post. It is easier than calling for a ball screen and all the work of a ball screen to enter it into the post and let the other teams double and then get kick out threes. But here, this is where Autumn, Melee, Sad, you got to stop raising a hand for the ball or clapping for the ball. You have to scream their name, right? Like the moment before you get open, like this should be a post entry right here, right? And then we work off of it. We're missing post entries, okay? And so then we go to ball screen, right? But we had a post entry. All right, now this is how a lot of people are playing. And so you started to flip it last night, and there was some when like Poe and Autumn had a bunch, but you don't have to call wave or whatever it is. Autumn, Melee, Sab, whoever set screens, right? If they are going to jump high, you are just going to turn right here, get your butt to the baseline, and then whoever is coming off the screen needs to snake the screen. Okay. I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by that, but it's an S. She would come off and she would come here. Just follow my arrow. So all Autumn does, ball handle, you have to wait. So it's not a moving screen on Autumn. Autumn would literally take her left foot and put it over here, her right foot here, and her butt would be facing the sideline. And you've changed the screen. You come off of it. The guard is going to go under it, and you need to come and get separation because you're trying to pull this big out here so you can hit Autumn on the roll or get this jumper. Okay, that is a snake. So a lot of teams are starting to do this on this wing ball screen. They are trying, they're not fully icing y'all out, but they're going one step above the screen. And I'm seeing some struggle with it, right? So we just snake it. We turn it, right? Here's an example of a snake, okay? So that you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So here, Chris Paul is going and they're gonna get, see how they're 1 foot above the screen, right? They're not fully icing it, they're just trying to make it harder on him. So then Aiton, you're gonna see in Autumn and any bigs, this is what it means. He just changes the angle. See how he did that? He just flipped the screen, and now Chris Paul's gonna go downhill. The defender goes over, and you snake it over to the side. Okay, you need to rep this, but this is the shot that you get off of the snake when the big is like the bigs last night. If they're gonna go high, we just snake it and we come to the middle. If you want to unpause and ask questions at any point, you are more than welcome to. Stags may have an advantage, particularly when you have your any double bigs in. So if any of the double bigs are in, you need to think about who is the four guarding, right? So like maybe with Skaggs, maybe with Claire, but think about particularly when you have your biggest bigs both in, they will put their center on one of you, but then the other one will have a competitive advantage. And that's who you want rolling to the rim. Okay. So this is really nice. This is good patience. right? Once again, the angle of the screen, Sav, I would go a little lower, right? Because what you want to do in a ball screen is you want to force the defender to go over the top. That's when the greatest advantages are created. So if you lower yourself and you get your butt facing to the corner, you're going to have a better angle. So it was still great, right? And you got away with a little moving screen. That's why it worked, right? But just that angle of that screen is something I want. A tiny little thing, but it makes a big difference. Butt to the corner, right? So it's screen the screener. You're going to see this all the time in your basketball career. So you got to just learn screen the screener. You never have to do a scout. How did coach tell y'all were defending it? Maybe Addie or somebody tell me.
He wanted us to switch everything.
Okay. So in this moment, before they set up, right? My challenge is I know we have only sophomores and freshmen on the court, but I don't care. That reminder should be given by multiple people. Hey, we're switching everything. We're switching everything. We're going to switch. We're going to switch. No communication from what I can tell right now is being had, right? So you need to give a reminder before necessary and be prepared for this. Claire should be yelling switch, 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 switch to Carmen, right? And then Sav should be ready. Ho, what could you have done differently? Even if they aren't switching, what could you have done differently to prevent this layup? What do you think? Gonna watch again? Once again, if I teach you anything today and coach teaches you something different, you go with coach. Coach is always right. I'm just teaching you general basketball IQ stuff, right? So, Poe, what could you have done differently right here? So, Sav doesn't switch. Claire doesn't call it, but Sav doesn't feel like she can leave her big because her big would flash right here and get a layup, right? Sav's got to stay. So, Poe, what could you have done differently?
I said shade to the corner rather than like leaving the weak side block open. I'm kind of just playing her straight up.
Yeah, so for me, this person can't shoot, right?
Yeah.
So like unless coach tells you something differently, to me, right, once you see that the corner is guarded, right, which you're watching the ball. You don't need to watch the ball. You don't want to be totally turned around so where she can throw it off your butt and score a layup. But to me, you need to be watching the action,
Oh,
right? So once you see that Carmen's there, that girl's not going to get an open shot. You're assisting this action. So to me, you should be right here. See where my mouse
oh,
is? Because
mhm.
then Sav feels you. Sav can give a first off, I understand you should be switching, but Sav could give another step of help to Claire because you're giving Sav the help, right? You have the advantage on inbounds. You have five defenders before this inbounder can come in, right? So you can double team. And to me, if you were right here, maybe Sav can then step over, and together the three of us stop these two.
Okay.
Follow me?
Yeah.
So once again, it should have been prevented from a reminder. That's like lack of leadership, but you could still fix it in the moment. Okay, I want to introduce single side versus double side. Okay, single gap versus double gap. Okay, so where should you attack? I don't know if Carmen's still on here, but you have a right now, and this is starting from this is a single gap. Okay, so there's a defender in the next gap. If this player moves down to here, this is called a double gap, right? So as I'm coming down transition, I'm first looking who's backs of the heads, right? I'm looking for backs of heads. But then when I get to this spot, I'm looking for double gap, right? Skaggs does a good job and creates instead of just sitting up here, she does a great job and she goes sets a down screen. So Carmen, she's creating double gap for you. Does that make sense? Unmute and say yes if you're still with me.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
So I know you can beat her, right? But it's more about where is the biggest competitive advantage for our team? The most space is this double gap. So then it's your headsy cross or your crossover or in and out cross or what between legs, whatever. But it can't be just because your headsy right is your go-to move. That's not the right read for this spot, right? I know it's your most comfortable and powerful move, but it's what is the defense giving me, right? So that's got to be an attack to the left. And instead, right? Instead of making that read, you predetermine that move, right? And I was actually in the stands and I said, "Hezzy right" to my friend when you got right here because I knew I knew what you were had already decided, right? But it's a Hezzy here, cross to the left, boom, you get her, and that's a layup for you or a kick out here. Okay. So we got to understand single gap and double gap. So let me show you what I mean by that. Okay. So okay, so your spacing affects the advantage big time. So in general, what I'm not seeing sometimes, I think y'all are not holding the sideline well enough. right? At times, one of these two people gets antsy and they come in to either screen or kind of cut. And those are good things to do, but it's about when you do it. Okay. So coach has generally good setup. You got deep corners, you have this high wing. But understand this would be a ball screen so that I'm attacking, right? The middle of the paint, attacking the nail. And these two players, these three amigos, are important for creating space. These two players have to hold the sideline. And if I attack and we have a roll, this defender over here might help on the roll. So that's why this person will pull up. Okay. But it's really important if the ball's being attacked towards you, you need to hold the sideline to create space, right? Especially when you have teammates who can create an advantage, right? So here's an example of what that looks like, but now attacking the other way. Okay, so at times, whoever's getting the ball screen, so I think all of you, but particularly like Poe, you're getting a lot of ball screens. You need to think about if you're going to reject because she's overplaying the screen, I want to set it up to where I'm rejecting to the double gap, right? So instead of getting this ball screen down here, this is for Poe and everybody. Right now, y'all have a single side often. You put your two people on the opposite sideline and you're coming set the screen where my cursor is. Can someone unmute and tell me that you can see my cursor? I just want to make sure you can see my cursor moving.
Yes.
Okay, so all you have to do, Poe, is you have the ball, you're dribbling right here. You say, hey, Autumn, point to the top of the key, right? And then you just pull the ball up here and you can start to attack this ball screen. If their coach has told them to overplay the ball screen, great. Then let's push her out all the way up here such that she almost rejects the ball screen out here. And now when I reject that ball screen, I've got a wide open layup or I've got my shooter in the corner, right? Like he should be a little bit even further down, I think, so that you open up this double gap to reject. Are we following? Someone unmute and say yes if you're still with me.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of, I like this ball screen here, but if they're going to play it that way, if they're going to, I'm going to call it a semi-ice. If they're going to semi-ice it, then pull them up here so that you can reject and you have way more space. Multiple times last night, y'all wanted to reject, but the other defender is right here because the shooter's in the corner. So you don't have space to reject, right? Or you have a very tiny space. Reject into that double gap, okay? The other option would be to attack, right, your same side corner, and then instead of holding the sideline, this person's going to pull back, right? Because as you're attacking coming off the ball screen, right? If you have a same side shooter, they've got to kind of really stay. But this is generally who's going to suck in, or this person will suck in to guard your role. So that's why you got to be ready for, that's the one time I would say you're not going to hold the sideline. So here's an example of that, right? They're holding the sideline. This is likely going to be the person that tags and guards the roller. And so you're just looking for this pattern. It might not be always, but I want y'all to start to understand just basketball is just patterns over and over and over. Okay. So here's an example. Okay. So he's coming off. Once again, the goal is to get them to go over the screen. If they go under the screen, you have to shoot that shot, or the screener needs to set it lower so that then they're incentivized to go over the screen. Once I go over the screen, right, I have an advantage. Now, Luca here scores. This is very patient and clever, right? But you also see he could kick out to this shooter as well, right? A lot of times you're going to have multiple options. Notice the ball fake. Ball fake to his big, ball fake. Yeah, right? Claire's done this a couple times this season already, actually. I just want to celebrate Skaggs here. I think this is a Skag clip. I know Skaggs, you're sick. I can tell how you're moving, but this was incredible recovery, right? So they have the advantage. They should score. She should peak right here, and that should be a layup. But you're lucky they don't, right? You've rushed them. But this is great. Skaggs takes away this layup, right? Or makes it more challenging for the girl to catch. Then we do a great job closing out, right? Skaggs recovers. This was just really good recovery from that. Now, here's my challenge. What could be different? We did a really good job recovering from the press, and then we took a breath and they took advantage, right? So what could have happened differently? Savannah still on here? Savannah, what could have happened differently at this point? Let me back it up a little bit and I'll let you play it, watch it. So we did a great job scrambling. We get the ball out. Boom, you've done a great job right here. And then this is where we can't take a pause. So what should you be doing, Savannah?
Um, Communicating or like still taking away
Or
Screaming.
yeah.
What are you communicating? You got it because they got to hear you. So you got to start screaming at this point. What would you be screaming?
That I have two people in the corners and then also the high post flashing.
Yep. So I would be screaming, but if you had to tell one person, who's the one person you should be screaming at?
Skags probably.
Correct. I'm screaming Skaggs. Skaggs drop, Skaggs drop, right? With urgency. So that then Skaggs drops, right? And Skaggs seeing it, but the guard, look at the guard. She's already seen it, right? And so she can go right over Nat. Okay. And so I would be yelling for Skaggs to drop so that that pass isn't even possible. Cool. A great flow. You had a lot of possessions. I just want to show at least one of those where they had you beat against the pressure, but then you did a great job closing out. Right. So shot goes in immediately. Nat should be getting here. Okay. Here. Why? Her butt's to the sideline so she can see the whole court, and she's stealing space. Stop throwing the ball into them right here. Nat, Poe, others, Claire, whoever, Addie, Emmy, whoever. Stop catching the ball. Start running, right? Steal 3 or 5 feet of space, right? Before you touch the ball. The ball is fastest through the air. Why? Heads turn, heads turn, heads turn. Okay? There's only two people seeing the ball right now. If Nat had caught it over here, 10 feet ahead, or caught it here, she's coming up. Who knows what advantages she would see? So we've got to get to the corners faster. Okay? Because right now, this should be a shot, Carmen. I would say I only cut if she rises. This is a good basketball cue for everybody. Otherwise, Carmen, you're a phenomenal shooter. There is more value to you being in the corner. Okay, so let's pause and talk why. Why is there more value for Carmen being in the corner? It has to do with points per possession. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, so the goal is always, this is different because we used to just think about in basketball, this is a little analytics, but we should just think about, a basket is a basket. But no, right? One is worth 3 points and one is worth two. So that is different. And when you average it out over the course of the game, it's really important to understand the difference. A goal generally is to get 1 point per possession. Okay, so every possession we want to be averaging at least 1 point. Sometimes we'll have 0, sometimes we'll have 2, sometimes we'll have 3, sometimes we'll get fouled and have 1. So an example of this is 50% from 2 point shots. Let's say we only shot layups. If we score half of them, that's generally, and right now, celebration to our bigs, they're shooting the last 4 or 5 games above 50%, which is phenomenal. They should be getting the ball more. They are extremely efficient. So they should be getting the ball more. But if they are on average, right, or they're a good field goal percentage from two is half your shots. That averages out, right? If you on 10 possessions, you scored 10 points, so you get 1 point per possession. That's great. If we shoot 70% from the free throw line, right, we're getting 70 points in 50 possessions, right? So that is 1.4 points because we would get 2 free throws for every possession, right? That's why it's 70 out of 100 free throws, but it's only 50 possessions. So the foul line is one of the most efficient ways to score. I think in general, you guys do an okay job. I think you need to be getting to the foul line more because that is the most efficient place to score from. If the thing about that where this is why threes are more important than twos, right? If you're shooting good shots that are open and you're on balance, even if you shoot average, 33% is average, you're scoring 1 point per possession. So even if you have an all-American big, I bet Baker shoots about 50%. Someone that shoots average from the 3 point line is scoring as many points per possession as Baker. Okay. If you shoot above that, then notice you start to get 108 points to that 100 points. Okay. Now, this is why layups and free throws are the most valuable. So if you get open layups, generally you're going to make 9 out of 10 of them. That's 18 points or 1.8 points per possession. Right, so you have to start to understand this when we as a group are deciding how to best take advantage of somebody. So, for instance, a couple years ago, last year, Rob Dillingham at Kentucky was the best mid-range shooter in the country. I'm not saying you shouldn't take middies. I just think you should trying to be get to the free throw line or score layups or shoot threes. Okay. But his 45% was best in the country. Because it's twos, he's only scoring 0.92 points per possession. However, he shot, right, 43% from the three. Okay, that's a really good percentage. But some of you are close behind this, and some of you can do this on the team. And that's 1.32 points per possession. So that might not seem like a big difference. But over 100 possessions, that's the difference between a team having 132 points and the other team having 92 points. That is a 40-point blowout. Or if you cut that in half and each team only had 50 possessions, that's a 20-point blowout. That's a blowout. Okay, that's a big difference. So here's an example of why it's so important you get really good at your 3-point percentage. Okay. But if you're only shooting, you should look at your stats, right? If you're only shooting from the 2-point line, one, I would say you need to get to the line more. So you need to get fouled on those shots, right? Or you need to, finish at a higher percentage. Because if you're only scoring 40% from 2-point line on your mid-range jumpers or even because your finishes, you're only getting us 80 points per possession or 0.8 per possession. Okay. So here's another example. I kind of talked through it, but like this is the difference. If a team shot only threes, right, and they made 35 of them, they would have 105 points. Other team shot only twos and they shot 40%, they'd only have 80 points. Or if you split that in half, it would still be 52 to 32 points. That's why getting our 3-point shooters, we have 3-point shooters who can shoot this, particularly if we're getting it open. So in general, right now, oh shoot, Claire's been in the weight room. If y'all see that, let me know, sorry. In general, I think one thing that your next evolution in the last 6 weeks is entering the ball into the post without turning it over, entering the ball into the post, letting the teams double. Why are they going to start doubling? You have height advantage, you have speed advantage at the post. Okay. And even if your posts aren't All-American yet, I do think that in the next couple of years, we should have some All-American posts. Even if they're not All-American yet, teams are going to start doubling because your posts over the last 5 games are scoring above 50%. So when teams start doubling, like that beautiful possession, Melee caught it closest to the bench block last night, and Poe was screaming from the opposite corner, double, 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 right? And Poe was open, and then they tripled, and you found Addy up top, 3. We should be getting our 3-point shooters easy threes, okay? Both in transition and because we're entering it to the post, all right? So you follow me so far? So going back to that, I'm gonna come back to this, explain why I'm asking Carmen and others to do this. So going back, excuse me, let me get to, going back to this. So this is also why for the rest of this season and next summer, y'all have to get better at passing accuracy. This is this team's 3-point percentage from last year. Okay. This is when we passed it to 3-point shooters in the pocket, and this is when we pass it to them out of the pocket. Okay. So this is where everyone, not just the bigs, when you're going to practice before you warm up, you could do fun, stupid stuff, right? Where you're just one hand passing to each other. Work on dribbling and throwing it off the dribble. Work on quick touch passes, and work on accuracy. Can I hit my teammate in their pocket, right? You only get better at this with reps. You just have to put in the time of trying to have different hook passes, overhead passes. How hard can I throw it and still be accurate? However, when we look at this data from our team, okay, so this is when we are 43% from the 3. We are scoring at 1 point, almost 3 points per possession. So most of y'all games, you'll have about 60 or 70 possessions. And that means when we pass accurately, just from our 3-pointers, we're going to score 90 points a game. Okay. When we pass inaccurately, okay, we're going to score 43. You understand the difference and how important this is. Okay. So I want you to just at least understand some of that. Okay. So from that, let's go back to this possession. So Nat's coming down. We should all be thinking, believing Nat is going to beat this girl to the paint and either score or at least engage a second. So Carmen, I love you, but I'm gonna pick on you and others right now. This is a jog. You are jogging. You are jogging. You are jogging. Even with that jog, when Nat gets here, you should already be in the corner, right? But even with that jog, you still could have got an opportunity here. Nat needs to attack, right? If this girl helps up, yes, go back door. But otherwise, everyone, Carmen and everyone, go to here. Why? If Nat takes 1 or 2 more dribbles here, there is no way that girl can guard Nat and guard you in the corner. So we are missing corner threes in transition because often we're going screen unnecessarily, or we're cutting unnecessarily. For her to get that ball to you, Carmen, that's an almost impossible pass. And Carmen's not the only one. Claire, you do this a lot. Um, I see a lot of unnecessary like screening from this spot for the corner shooter. You guys need to hold the sideline and you need to force these defenders to make a decision. If they are dumb enough to go to the paint, park your butt right here and shoot 38% over and over and over, right? She's done her job, right? She's engaged the second defender, but now we've created something that's unavailable. What questions do you have so far? What would you like me to go over again?
I have a question about those cuts or like the screens. So for like when we do like we run through fence in practice and coach wants us to do the off-ball screens, but that would just need to happen sooner?
Yes, but that does need to happen in transition. So run
Okay.
fence, do that in fence. Do that in the
Okay.
half court. Yes, because the half court, they're set, the defense is set. They're in transition, defenses are
Yes.
disorganized.
Okay.
So in transition, you'll need to be sprinting. One, we need to be throwing the ball up the sideline. Like
Mm-hmm.
one time last night, someone had to yell Poe or Nat's name, right? I think Nat wasn't looking once. Poe, we were trying to throw it to. Like y'all need to be looking for the ball. The ball has to be the most athletic player, and so it should not be dribbled up the court. It really should only be dribbled up the court, in my opinion, like 40% of the times. It should be passed either to a rabbit or up the sideline just to force them to even communicate faster, right? But I think this is what we didn't do last year, and teams overplay y'all on Kings, right? So look for this. This is risky, but what Emmy sees is this player, right, isn't below her. So then she anticipates the switch. This is a great read. And this can be something you do on Kings. And that other big has to be ready. If they fake it and they take it, this little dump off pass for layup is also going to be open. Great rebound, Sav. Way to draw a foul. All right. I'm seeing this frequently as well. We're like a second late to enter the ball into the post. So Melee, Sav, Autumn, start demanding the ball from your teammates, especially when you're open. And I think you can wait Melee a second later to seal. Okay. Melee, you have the strength advantage on every person in this conference already as a freshman. It's insane. Okay. So amazing. We know you can seal and catch the ball on anyone. So be patient. One, Skaggy, you got to be ready. You should be peaking now, right? And that ball should be going now, right? It almost can be a touch pass. She has a layup right now, right? But we pause, we're waiting, right? So Melee, I think you have to think about how the brain processes things. That's really what I'm asking Skaggs is really high level. And so to be a little more gracious to your teammate is wait until so this movement, actually you wait another second, because if you wait and you do this seal movement, the swim move, right? When she's catching the ball, her brain has a half second to catch, process, and then see you swim move, and then she's going to be throwing it. So it's a little both ways. Skaggs needs to be quicker. Melee, I think you need to be a little slower so that what if you were like this when she had caught the ball for a half second and had a moment to process? Both of you unmute and ask any questions. Do you understand? And Skaggy, I know you might have paused because defender's here, but you got to look at heads, right? She's not seeing you at all. So even we still get it to her, but instead of it being a layup, now she's forced. And without this travel, you still would have scored on her, right? But that's where Melee's got to keep that pivot foot down. But I just want to show you that little thing that's one of multiple times where I've seen the post entries just late, and we miss them working hard to seal and get a layup because we're a half second late. But I would say this from a basketball IQ perspective, this is going to happen sometimes on your press where they're smart, they E2, they throw it. So Addie, this angle, I can tell by how you close out, this girl is here. What is the least dangerous thing for y'all? It's getting this person to dribble. So in the same way that I'm asking y'all to pass out of the trap, and the moment you pass out of the trap, pass, and attack, because the ball is fastest through the air, you can play a high level basketball IQ here would be to play the percentages and actually force her to dribble, right? So I know some of it is just mobility and stopping your body, and it's tough always, but I would have actually stopped right here, right? And you try to, and I think you're actually trying to do this, but I would have actually cut off that pass. Why? Right? and this is something for all of you to learn as you're playing this press, is like when I get to this situation where I'm the backside and I have two, I just actually want to force the dribble. Because if Addie closes out here and the girl goes to fake and Addie jumps and she can't throw it, by the time she would go to dribble, look where Nat, right? If she started dribbling because Addie was right here, Nat would be on her, right? But instead, with the pass, now they have an advantage, right? And Melee does a great job, and Skaggy too. This is awesome coverage by Melee and Skags, right? This in particular, Skags recovering right here, right? And taking away this 2-on-3. Melee and Skags did a phenomenal job covering, and Skags takes away the layup here. And so then now we can all team defense eat him up, right? So great Melee and Skags, great recovery. But that's just one angle that I think if I ever have the choice to make him dribble or pass, I'm going to make him dribble because it's slower and I know my teammates are coming from behind. Addie or others, any questions on that?
No, that makes sense.
Yep. You don't always have to beat him with athleticism. Sometimes it's just basketball IQ. Amy, whoever's going to be starting Ether, run it to your most advantageous big side. The thing that's great about Ether is it forces big to big screen and it forces them to switch. So in this case, I am running Ether to which side? Let me see first. Who's on here? Okay. Is Poe on here? Where do I want the ball to go? Skags or Melee? Oh, tell me. But even more so, in Ether that often they switch. So for certain, I want the ball to go to Melee. If Skags is gonna set the screen for Melee and they switch, Melee is now posting up against this little squat, right? No offense to her, but she can't guard Melee. Neither can she, but definitely can't guard Melee. So then Poe, actually, let's play Jeopardy. Then Katie, tell me which side we should run Ether to. Should we go to the left or to the right?
Towards Melee.
Correct. We should go towards Melee, right? So that she is the person getting that back screen and that little four switches onto her. But we go to Skag's side, right? So sure, Melee could maybe score here, but this is hard. The benefit of Ether is the back screen when it's cleared out, right? Now, even if that doesn't happen, there is a score on Ether that Melee did to the wrong side last night, but she still scored, and y'all are missing it. Okay. The beauty of Ether is this moment when Melee catches it. Okay. Because most of the time this guard's not gonna be a suck in, this guard's gonna be over here. So Skag does a good job of sealing, trying to get it over, but Skags and all bigs, I would actually try to post up just right here and let her 3/4 me. Why would I decoy post right here and let her 3/4 over the top of me? I'm going to ask Autumn that first. So Autumn, if you were Skags and Melee catches the ball, why would I, instead of Skags is going to seal and do this? That's a really tough pass. Y'all can do it, but there's just so limited space with a person pushing on you. Okay. So that is technically the right read for Skags, but let's go a little basketball IQ deeper. Okay. Why would Skags actually stay posted up on this side? Okay. Why would I say, actually, look how she's defending and how they will defend? Why would I say, try to call for the ball right here and post her up so that she'll 3/4 and get on top of you? Why would I say that? Autumn, you tell me your thoughts first.
Is it to give Melee some more space to take
Yes.
Jill?
Okay, so what's great about this is generally this defender is not going to be this close. But if they are and you take a dribble, then it's an open three. Okay. What y'all need to start doing is when you catch it in the high post, you ball fake, right, to the post entry. What's that going to do? She's going to try to steal the ball. She's going to step over higher. This immobile, wonderful human being, I'm sure that she is going to raise her hands to try to get that pass. When that big girl raises her hand, she already can't move. Okay. And most of your bigs are not mobile, like our bigs are mobile. She raises her hands, she becomes less mobile. Okay. So Claire, you don't even have to ball fake. You can beat everyone from the high post. You're so fast. But Claire, you need to start ball faking so you get wide open layups, right? Everyone should be catching, and we should be smart enough to decoy, fake this pass, and then attack right down the line for a layup. You have speed advantage at every side, every position, right? All of our bigs. So melee, instead of dribbling to the left, I think you ball fake to Skaggs, get this big girl's hands up so that she's lost her balance, and I attack to the right, right? Because look, there that guard goes. You saw it, melee? She's out. So, oh my God, you don't even have to ball fake. You could beat her right now because you did it twice in the game. You could attack her high foot and just get a layup. But I think if you ball fake, she will take a further step over here to try to intercept that pass. And then you have a wide open layup. And if you attack and this girl comes over and helps, you just dump it off to Skaggs. Okay? Instead, we do this number, right? That's okay. This is learning. This is part of being a freshman. Skaggs does a great job of keeping it alive. And we still get a grade 3 out of it. But I want y'all to start running ether. Literally, if I was like, y'all could run ether 30 times a game and score out of 6 or 7 different variations of it because y'all have so many advantages from every position. Okay, but you have to start understanding where are the spots in ether that we're going to attack out of. All right, so this is a free throw. Whenever we huddle at a free throw, I want someone to assign. I don't care who it is. I want someone to assign who is taking the ball out because we should get an opportunity off this. Okay. So to me, cool. If Carmen's going to get it, that's fine. Claire is the fastest person on the court. So Claire could be rabbiting, right? But what I don't want is all 3 people. Look at this, all 3. So first Nat just defers to Poe, but there wasn't pre-communication, and Claire's waiting for the ball too. So that tells me all 3 of you thought you might be getting the ball, right? So to me, instead of Claire getting the ball, this should be a conversation we already had. Claire should be already about here, right? And putting a ton of pressure on the defense, right? I love this, Poe. Thank you. You're starting to do this. I noticed this last night, Poe. You're starting to do this. All right. We all have to collectively remind each other, remind the guards, catch it top of the key, steal space on the pass. Okay. Now, this is a throw. No, this is a throw. Where, Poe? Where are you throwing it?
Got it.
This is a automatic. If she is shoulder to shoulder or path, you are throwing the ball high and with arc so that she doesn't have to catch it here and dribble one. She catches it here and she finishes or gets fouled, right? But as soon as you see that she has a step and there's no guards below, you have to be throwing this ball. And you're throwing it to where she catches it right here. So you're going to put quite a bit of arc on it, right? Autumn, you do a great job. What we talked about is sealing early. Post throw her the ball. I don't care. I loved last night that y'all had 3 or 4 turnovers by just trying it, right? I loved the one from Claire to Bree because to Sav, because you're going to learn how to do it. But if you never try it, you'll never get better at it, right? So to me, you got to reward it. And Autumn, you should be a little pissed. Autumn, you got to be a little bit higher with this foot so that she can throw it here. It's hard to get it to the other side of the rim without hitting the rim. So, and push her out. She pushes you down a little bit. But then we're deferring to this ball screen too much. Is it first, to me, what should have happened is we throw the ball, right? And either 20 would have gone help and that would have got a shot, or Autumn would have just got fouled, okay, or scored. Okay, so Poe, now that we've learned, what are you going to do differently when they start to play this like this? Poe, actually, not Poe unmute. Let's test, see who's listening. Addie, what is Poe? No, let's test Skaggs. Skaggs, what is Poe gonna do going forward when they're playing it like this?
What she's going to do.
Yeah, what did I coach earlier on the call? What's possible to do?
Drive to baseline. Well, she would go off of where Adam's butt is pointing, but she can also. But she would take base because of the way the defender's position. I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. She would do that technically. What about this photo? Might jog your memory. So they are forcing her to reject, right? So you're gonna do a click pass Skaggs and give an assist to Addie. Addie, pose in this scenario. What did I say she should experiment with doing? Because she could reject, but that reject becomes very tight right now. right? Not a ton of space. That's doing a good job of getting as far as she can to the corner. So what could she do?
Wait, we figured it out.
Okay, what's that?
The S. The snake.
The snake.
No. Good. Yes, that's one possibility. I would say not in this scenario because if Autumn put screens here and puts her butt to the baseline, it's still a tight amount of space. She could, right? But look at this picture and tell me what. So this is the scenario. It's just in a different spot. Poe, you tell me, what are you going to do in this scenario? Poe and others, when you get to this and they are icing the screen, what can we do? Poe, you tell me.
What if, or she switches like the step up screen and I reject it and I attack the double gap towards the middle.
Correct. So if I was Poe in this scenario, I would do one of two things, which I haven't worked with you, but I want to work a ton with all y'all this offseason at a get, right? She could throw it to Autumn and fake and just get a ball handoff, right? But we haven't worked on that yet, and that's for later. What Poe would do is just dribble it up here, have Autumn move this screen up here. And if that girl is going to reject up here, then Poe has all this space, right? So Poe's going to basically create this. Are we following that? We're just taking the screen from right here, and then we're just moving it over here and saying, are you still going to ice me? Because if so, look at all this space. I'm going to go here and get Nat a 3. You are all more advantageous. Like you have all the advantages. You're not putting yourself in the most space to take advantage of it, right? Okay. When would I snake? If it was higher. So right now, this isn't high enough to snake. Okay, but if Poe did it up here and they iced, then Autumn could choose. I think y'all call it wave, right? When y'all is that what y'all do that? Y'all flip it. So Autumn could tell Poe, hey, I'm just gonna, and then really this could be also the signal for like snake, right? Like you just snake it, right? If you're gonna flip it, then Poe knows, okay, one of the things I can do is just now snake it. Okay, so reject is different though, right? Or Poe has options there. If you were to go to this scenario, right, and we move that ball screen up here, if she ices it, yes, Autumn could just, or whoever could turn their butt to the baseline, and then Poe could go downhill. But even if Autumn stayed or whoever stayed this way and they ice it, Poe just rejects. And now she's faster than this big. She can get downhill, go for a layup, or have the roll or have the 3 in the corner. All right. So excited for y'all basketball. I can't wait to see all how y'all just torched this conference. I think this pass in from this person catching the ball, unless it's a 5, I think it is asking to get stolen. And Claire, you're starting to like figure that out. Just how you're doing it is making it harder on you, right? So like y'all know this girl's catching the ball. This is a risky pass to me because of the angle of it. So Claire, what I would do instead of face guarding her and doing that and not having like you still almost get it. To me, all of you, if you're going to be the person down here and you know that they're running this set, I would turn right here to where I'm on the inside of her and my chest, like Claire's left foot, can y'all see my cursor should be right here and her right foot should be there. Okay. So you're on the inside, right? And now as she pops out, you can be timing it and steal that pass. I wish I can almost I have to be on court to show you, but instead of face guarding her, I'd get on the inside of her so I can see the ball. And then I'm just watching the ball. And as soon as they throw the ball, I'm just going to go steal it. Right? Like that's a hard pass unless they really seal you. But I've watched 3 teams do this first y'all now, and all of them suck at the seal. Like all of them should be steals. And then it's a layup. So I think it's harder for a big to steal, maybe. Not our bigs. Our bigs are pretty mobile, so maybe our bigs. But I think how y'all are guarding it, you take away the layup by just getting a step inside of her. But then now you can see her going up and the ball, and you can track the ball and then just tip it out. Okay, so I want that to become something we do, unless coach tells you something different, right? If Claire was here on the inside and watching it, I have no doubt Claire gets that ball. And then great contest Autumn here. Right, this is just really good defense. Great aggressiveness last night. Right, even if you didn't block that one, that was a block. Okay, Poe and everybody. This is high level basketball IQ is starting to be clever with your shoulders and eyes. So if I was Poe right now, I would be looking at Carmen, okay, and I would ball fake, or I would almost look like I'm going to throw to Carmen, and you kind of are, right? And so what does that do? This little, I'm watching this little too, and she's saying, "Hey, no one's out guard Carmen," and that's why Carmen, you got to be further down because if you're right now, she can guard both you and Autumn, but Autumn has a layup right here. Okay, so Carmen, you see in this triangle? If you sprint down, okay, at a higher speed. So I know I might be asking a lot, but if you sprint as fast as you could, this is a jog still. I love how you're turning to the ball, but this is a jog. If you were down here already, right, or even here, and you were sprinting to the corner, 20 has to decide, do I leave the 3-point shooter and guard the layup? In which case, Carmen should have a three. So Poe, you should be now, you're playing kind of chess with this point guard, and your eyes and your shoulders need to fake her out. And so what I would probably do is look, if Carmen was down here, I would have my eyes and shoulders to Carmen and I would throw this lob pass right there, right? But I would wait till Autumn is past her. So this is the moment. I would be looking at Carmen at my shoulders and my eyes, and I would throw a no-look lob to Autumn right over the top. And this is a layup. Oh, any questions on that? You see what I'm saying? Like I do like how your shoulders are facing Carmen. But this is the layup. Autumn, you have to be looking for the ball, girl. You beat her, right? You need to be calling for the ball, or not calling, because then she would run harder. But like, you got to be ready for these passes. And or what I would take a slightly different angle, Autumn, and all bigs is when does Autumn know she's got her beat? Right now. So Autumn, I would run right here and use this little as a screen, and I would be stealing all the space from her. Because even if we throw it to Carmen, you can seal halfway through the paint. Okay, does that make sense? I would be almost running in front of her. I would cut off her angle. 32. I would run right now and get to this spot. Unmute Autumn and tell me if you have questions on that. I would take this angle because then I'm for sure in front of her. She can't get back in front of me. I would run in front of her,
Okay.
right? Because then Poe could throw me a lob on this side of the paint. But if I was in front of her, even if Carmen catches it, I can seal her. And now I have all this area to catch a pass.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Like you are faster than almost every big. All of y'all are. So beat them to a spot and then just play, like keep them on your hip, keep them on your back, right? Just like play that game like when you were a little kid. So, Autumn, I think you got to be a second earlier. Carmen, Claire, a few others. Poe, I'm going to show you a ball screen last night. Stop throwing it at Autumn's knees. Okay. Her competitive advantage is she can reach 7.5 feet when no one else can. So great drive. Good E2, Carmen. This is a lob. Unmute and follow. Say yes if you follow me. Like it has to be a lob. We have to start driving and throwing the opposite lob to Autumn, where she can catch it up near the corner of the backboard and just put it in or get fouled. The 20's competitive advantage is low. She wants to get her hands on, even if Autumn catches this ball, 20's hands are right there, right? She's going to get her hands on it. She does. It's got to be lobs, right? So Autumn, you got to get to this opposite side first. Like to me, stop running all the way out to the short corner. When you make your run, run to the rim, stop at the rim. Autumn, Sav, Melee, Ayana, anybody. Just go to the rim, turn around, and just see what's happening. So if you were at the rim and you didn't go all the way out here and you stopped right here, I know you got to get out of the paint, so maybe step right out of the paint. But then when you see Carmen's attacking, you know she's not going to attack right here. She's going to attack here. So then you got to get to here sooner, right? Because you just look at where is the defense, where is she most likely to attack? Then I've got to get here. Carmen throws the lob to the opposite corner. Oop, just up, right? Any questions on that? Good rebound, Autumn. Claire, what could you have done differently right here? First off, Claire, I love how you're catching it. You're stealing space on that slide. See that shuffle Claire's doing? This is what I want all of you to start doing. Steal space. So Autumn gets it. She's shuffling, shuffling, shuffling. Call her name, Claire, instead of raising your hands, right? But she's stealing space. She could even be shuffling even more. We need to start throwing outlet passes and stealing space. Okay. Based on their heads, Claire, what should you do right here? You make a great play.
Uh,
You make a great play out of this, and there's multiple correct answers in transition.
Give it to Skags.
Yes, this girl. So I catch it. This no vision. So if Skaggs gets it, maybe you throw it here. She's turning around to look at you, right?
Uh-huh.
And maybe by this point, Skaggs is actually catching the ball, and now Skaggs is off to the races. It's 2-on-1. Okay. Carmen, this is where I would stay in the corner, right? Why? Because if Skaggs attacks, then this girl has to make a decision, right? Or if you go across, I would stop at this block. Okay. So it's not wrong, Carmen, right? You're not wrong. I'm just telling you what, right? Because then if Claire had thrown that, I would have gone to the corner, Carmen, right? But once again, Claire has an incredible advantage over everybody, particularly when bigs are guarding her and she's got her speed, right? So I love that. I love that play. Autumn, I love that foul. That's a worse, that aggressive foul. So just pitching it ahead creates more chaos. And so that wasn't the wrong thing. I'm just showing you additional things. I've watched this multiple times. It's I think each time, one time Melee, twice or three times Autumn and Addie. Addie, it's both. You and Autumn got to do a little bit better. So one, you need to dribble another dribble off of this screen. You know why, Addie? And if Addie can't answer, then I'm going to go to one of y'all. Why
To
does
get the
Addie?
defense over more.
Correct. You've got to get the defense over. So this person, all of y'all, you need to catch this ball further away. Because the closer you are, the more this defender is going to be like, oh, I don't need to fight over this screen. You need to catch it over here, okay, so that it looks like Addie's trying to use this ball screen and that there's space. So that this defender fights over, so then we can turn around and flare her in. But y'all are rushing each part of it. So then Autumn has no one to screen, Melee has no one to screen, right? So Addie, you need to slow down. So it's slow, 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 and then it's fast, right? The like flare part is fast, but it's actually slow because I want them to think that they beat me over the screen and they play great defense, right? They switch, it's another dribble or two. Then it's a pass and a burst. Oops. You follow me there, Addie? Another dribble, take another dribble, let her get over, and let her think she's beat you. Maybe even drive into the 3-point line. Let her think she's stopped you. Then you pass it, and Autumn will have a lot easier angle to screen. Okay? So I've seen that for like 3 times. We just need to get better at that. Okay, so Poe, you got to slow down because this could be her snake for you, but you're already attacking before Autumn gets there. See how she's going to guard it, right? Or push it down, set it up like that, right? This is where you get that moving screen. Autumn, you got to stay for a second longer. But Poe, I think you actually got her this moving screen, in my opinion, right? You went too soon. And so then the referee starts looking for it, right? If you're a little more patient with it, Autumn seems more set, but then she's moving more, and then they're going to call that. So just be a little more patient in your setup. And Autumn, you got to hold it a little longer before you roll or you rescreen. I think Addie, this one's quick, right? You still got 23 on the shot clock, right? Make them like I know you can make that shot. To me, Sav, what did I say about your butt? Unmute and tell me what I said about the screener's butt is telling the offensive ball handler what?
It should be telling her like what angle or where she should go.
Correct. So to me, your butt is going to face either the opposite block or the hash at this screen level, right? Because you want Addie to get downhill. So this is telling her, hey, get uphill, right? So I think lowering the screen, or y'all take this whole screen and bounce it up to up here, right? Like literally, Addie, you could just toss it to Sav, you relocate, get it back, and then you tell her to move, right? But I think it's a combination of that screen angle and your butt, right? And then Addie, I think you can, even if I would take that shot, even if it getting to the paint or entering to the post, and so then it's wide open on the kick out. I think y'all need to work inside out a little bit more. Don't think you could throw that to Poe. I think they'd intercept it. But look what we got. So what would you might do here, Addie? Unmute and tell me.
I think that's Emmy. Maybe throw it to Emmy.
Mm-hmm. This disorganization. This girl is leaving Emmy at a layup and telling her teammates to go guard Emmy, right? This is got to be looking at their heads. This is a layup. Emmy, do not leave this spot. Emmy, scream her name right now. I would be violent, bloody murder screaming her name. Right? Like, this is a layup. And now you raise your hand. Like, you should be yelling, Emmy. You should be yelling here. You're raising your hand. I would yell her name, scream her name, right? Even if she throws it, you're going to score on this backup big. And then right now, I'd be screaming her name, right? Y'all are missing. Y'all are leaving like 10 or 12 points on the table. What questions do you have so far? Autumn.
I had a question. I know you were like on the drives, we want to like space out. And so I'm kind of wondering like when should I space out and leave room for like a drive or should like I kind of stay in?
You shouldn't. You can't get 3 seconds in the lane, but you should be going to the opposite side of the lane and staying as close as you can to the lane so that when they drive on the opposite side of the lane, they can just throw it to the opposite side of the backboard. Corner, bottom corner backboard, you can catch it and then finish with a layup. So you do a phenomenal job. I'm not just saying this because you asked a question. I was watching. You do a phenomenal job of moving on the guard's penetration. To me, I would be pissed off if I were you a little bit because you move so much for the guards and then they don't throw you the ball. Like I would be pissed a little bit. They should be throwing it to you high where you have the greatest advantage. Even if you throw it up to Autumn and she catches it and the bigs steal the space, they're gonna double her and she can kick out from above her head and get y'all open threes, right? But you need to be looking for your bigs across the paint. Does that answer your question, Autumn? So I can't throw it to you there because of Emmy's person's down there, right? But ball screen. Okay, who's on here? I'm gonna have someone who has yet to speak. So, Kaiten, tell me what you see with this ball screen and what coaching you would give.
What?
Okay, Autumn.
Well,
Okay.
at the end, like Autumn did what we talked about earlier, where she like snakes
Snaked
or
it.
twists,
Yep.
like and forces like because at the beginning her like butt wasn't really facing like the hash or the block. It was kind of like along the perimeter, and then when she twists, like it's allowing Poe to get a downhill attack.
Okay, so what could Poe do right here?
There's
It's the same word that you just described for what Autumn did. It can mean something for the screener and the ball handler. What could Poe do to this screen right now?
snake it and like go
Yeah.
back and forth.
Boop. So she could come down, boop, come right into here. Now that big is in a whole world of trouble because the little's going to follow her and then Autumn's rolling. Now you're in a 2-on-1 with the big.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to. She throws this pocket pass, but this is also the right answer. Okay, so the pocket pass is there. Poe, if you're going to throw it, I think you got two options. One, I have to throw it where it hits the ground right here and bounces up really high for Autumn. Okay, so it's a tight pocket pass. Or I lob it over her hands to where Autumn catches it right here high. If Poe lobbed it to Autumn and she caught it right here, okay, who am I going to coach next?
I think I need to stay in the corner.
Yes, girl, what you doing? What you doing? Right? Like, what? Right? You are the best three-pointer shooter in the conference, right? You need to be here, and we need to get good at our rollers rolling, catching it on a momentum stop, and finding our shooters without dribbling. So, Poe, you can throw this pass. This is hard as hell to catch. You throw it at her feet, right? Like, but what I would argue is this pocket isn't big enough. Okay, because generally a pocket pass comes after one more dribble where you've expanded the pocket. This is a really tight pocket. So I think you've got to throw the lob not over here because that would get stolen or it'd be tough to catch. I think you just throw it up where Autumn catches it right here above her head. And then from here, this person will help. This person will help. When Autumn catches it, all she has to do is catch it, throw it to the corner or throw it to net, right? She doesn't even need a dribble. Okay, so y'all are going to dominate with the ball screen, right? Y'all have so many advantages. You're starting to click. The ball screen last night was pretty, but this is stuff where we're like, we just got to get better at it and get reps. When I showed y'all that 3-on-3. You can create your own games out of it. It's like, what scenarios happen. Okay, let's play 3-on-3 where we can only reject the screen and work on that pocket pass or work on that lob. I would call it a lob pocket, right? You need to throw a lob pocket there, Poe. Oh, any questions there? Say no, so I know you're still with me.
No.
Yeah. All right. So Autumn, Sav, Ayana, Bree, everyone, right here, I think you should seal this girl right here and open up. Why? I don't think you'll get the post catch. Why would I seal her and pretend like I want Emmy to throw me the ball? Let me see who is. Why would I do that? Melee, you answer.
I think it would bring in the help D and then the kick out will be open.
Maybe. I think it could be. Yes, you seal right here. We seal right here because then Emmy has a moving screen, a legal moving screen. So if you turn right now and sealed, as Emmy drives, she could run this defender off of both of you and score a layup or kick it out for a shooter, right? But instead, you just keep running through. Okay. So what I would say is if you had sealed right there, Emmy can see that and just use it and run off of it and score a wide open layup. Autumn, you understand that? Right? Like if you'd have turned and sealed, right? When you see this in transition of like, where is there space to hunt? The space is here. Okay. You know your guards are trying to hunt the paint. So just as you see her start to make her first move, turn and push this girl, put your butt on her and shove her out of the paint. You can't do it too much where it's a foul, but then it's like it's a legal moving screen. Right? And then if you don't go all the way out to the short corner and you were back here, you can dip behind this girl right now, right? Like see how it's too late? So I think you're going out, just get right outside the paint. Like, so it's not a 3-second. Go out. You don't have to go all the way to the short corner because you got to be ready for this pickup and the dump off, right? Like if you had gone only to here instead of here, you would be right here right now and she could just get you a layup. Okay, let's talk about this ball screen. So Autumn, I'm just going to coach you and specifically you. I don't think the other bigs are doing this. This is not open. You're not open, right? Like that's an insane small window to throw the ball right up here. But I don't think our guards have yet. So either step in front of her, step this leg in front of her leg and demand the ball, or don't even do it. Does that make sense? You're wasting energy with like,
Yeah.
or you got to shove her further up to get that lob.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, look what it is again. All right, let's go pop quiz. Addie, what do you think here?
She can either change her angle or set the screen in the middle of the paint so Nat can attack at the reject side.
Yeah.
With the
So
double.
Autumn, so Nat is the person who can, Nat, whoever can call for this. You can just keep dribbling and say, Autumn, take 3 steps back. You should do that. But Autumn, when you are coming up, you can also decide based on, you see how this girl's guarding. So then you just decide, okay, I'm setting the screen over here, right? And that forces Nat to say, okay, I'm going to dribble up here. And now we have double gap reject opportunities. Does that make sense? So Autumn, you can dictate this too. Sav, Bree, Melee, you can dictate this by just changing where you're going to set that screen and going over here. Or you come and you let them snake. I think this is tight to snake though. So I want the snakes to be up here, right? So if you go over here and she's still doing it, either your guard can reject or you easily snake and now you got space. But like anything closer than this, if you here, even if Autumn was here and the defender was here, that's a better space to snake. This gets pretty tight. You can snake this, you just have less space, but it's possible, right? Like you could technically just turn it right here and let her come and snake it, right? But you gotta, set a good screen so that Nat has space to not get trapped in by this big. So we just kind of waste the screen. Now, I know Nat's not on here, but this is something y'all all need to see better when you're engaging too. So one, I like this Poe. I think you could be a step in and we could have got Addie a shot, but y'all are missing this corner shooter a lot on this ball screen. This tag defender, this is guard and Emmy, they are sucking in on y'all almost every ball screen, right? I think Carmen saw it maybe 2 or 3 games ago once. Outside of that, I haven't seen this corner pass. So while I think Nat can make this shot, this is a 3. And Emmy, you should be screaming her name, right? But it's really, Nat's got to see it. When you get here, right? You got to see, you're looking at not these two defenders, you're reading this tag defender. Is she taking Autumn or is she staying with Emmy? And that dictates my decision. That is one of the most common reads in basketball. Ball side, tag defender. Y'all need to spend this off season playing 3-on-3 on a side where the split line is out of bounds or the opposite lane line is out of bounds, and you just play 3-on-3. You follow me? And that tag defender can stay with the shooter or they can come help. And y'all just need to read that over and over and over and over, and you will win a national championship if you can do that. That is literally what professional basketball is. It is just them being able to make that read and throw it to the corner or throw it to the big. And y'all have yeah.
So sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Would you want Emmy to like relocate at all, or like do you want her to stay in the corner?
She could, yes. So
Okay.
she could pull up. That is an option. It just depends on how this person sucks in and their passing ability. And until we get really good at the hook pass, that might be the best option, right?
Okay.
Some people like to just say, no matter what, stay in the corner, because then I don't even have to see where you are. I know you're in the corner. And the moment I see this person help, I can just throw it to the corner and I don't even have to actually look for you. Whereas when you pull, I have to look and know exactly where you are along the 3-point line. So that has to be a discussion between y'all, right? Like some people prefer to just know, stay in the corner. And that's why sometimes you'll see like an NBA or WNBA games, they throw it to the corner and no one's there. It just goes out of bounds. It's because they were thinking, oh, they're staying in the corner, right? They're not actually seeing all the people. They're just reading that tag defender. That's the only person they're looking for.
Got
Good
it.
question. Oh, what was your question? Okay, watch this ball pressure by Nat. This is for everybody. This ball pressure, she started at 7:59. Okay, so this girl is going against ball pressure. And here she sucks back in, ball pressure again. She's going against ball pressure for 11, 12 seconds. That's the exhausted pass because of the 12 seconds of ball pressure, right? That's what makes y'all so lethal to play against. Is if you can do that over and over and over, people just make poor decisions because they're tired. So just remember when you're tired, imagine how tired they have to be. All right, Miss Claire, Claire, I am so excited for you to go ball screen with any of our big. Why? Claire, you should be hunting this girl and that other bigger girl even slower. I would call for ball screens against their big because if you can melee and Autumn and Whitbree and Yana and Saf to ball screen for you and a big has to switch on you, Claire, it is a layup. I'm going to go off of screen share to it. It is a layup. Any 5 in this league switches onto you, they are not even close to stopping you from the paint. So you should be hunting that, right? Hunting that, right? The rest of the conference. You have the ball, you hunt out the biggest, slowest big and get them to switch. All right, so for this one, I want to show you the importance of a screen. Okay, so Sav, you have to make contact here, right? And you get away with a little bit of moving screen. But one, instead of going further out, further out, further out to catch the ball, push her down, right? Push her in or start in here and then pop up to here. But this is too far. So then it's a tough angle to screen. And you got to move in, but you got to make contact with her. If you make contact with her, this player has to do what? Sav, come off mute and tell me. So the importance of this screen is everything. Why do you have to make contact with Claire's player? Why is it so important that you actually were one step over and she gets stuck up on you?
Because then the defense has to decide whether they're switching or staying, and then that creates the advantage.
Yes. So if this defender has to go take a step out to Claire, you have the slip, right? But if you don't make contact, she's right there. And then it's pointless. Okay. Now, this is what I'm talking about, Claire. You're patient, you let them screen. Okay. And now it's game over. You get to this is the pocket. You get the person to go over, it is game over, right? Right? There is no one in this league that's stopping this. When we get this pocket, because if she steps over, you have that hook pass. I know that's a layup, and yet this is what you have, okay? That, y'all could run that 30 times a game, and I think would score on it 20, right? Because you just have such a physical advantage. Okay, perfect. We want the switch. So Claire, I would set it up on this side because you know how good you are going left, but you can go either way. You're gonna have to be able to go either way. Melee, what could you do here? Unmute, tell me.
Switch my angle. I don't know.
Yeah, you could snake. Yep, you could switch your angle right here. Claire could just snake this screen, right? Instead, fight's over, right? So then this is what we get. Now, Claire, I think this is where you have to initiate the contact. You're stronger than her. You let her push you out. I think you have a step on her. You have to get inside. You got to attack at this angle, like you're attacking to the top of the circle. And if you attacked at that angle, it would be a layup. But you attack, right? And to me, you got to finish this. I know I see Skaggs there. This is a tough one. So Skaggs, I think either you got to stay out in the corner because then that makes it really hard. This person can't guard both, right? Or you come down to here, Skaggs, where it's an easy pass through this hip window. But this is a tough to make both work. And or you got to throw it to this side of Skaggs over here, right? Or you kick it to Sav out here. I think in this scenario, I would prefer that this person stays in the corner and this person cuts. That's harder to guard for this person than this person cutting and this person being out, right? Because it's an easier pass down here. Do we follow me on that? Right? Corner person stay out, 45-degree person cut. That's just a higher, it's tougher to guard. Attack right here, go directly. But then I love that you see this. Okay, now what you could do is wait one more dribble, or I would be looking at Carmen, or you throw it to Carmen and Carmen touch passes it into Sav. That's also an option too. If you don't feel like you have the overhead, this is good positioning. She's splitting the two, right? So you've got to catch it, Sav, and stop. Most stop. You have to catch, momentum stop, and then kick, right? Like you got to practice that. So, because this is going to happen. So I think once again, your two options in this scenario, Claire, are throw it up to Carmen. One, you could be clever with your shoulders and eyes and do a no look pass. So if you are going to throw it to Sav, I'd probably be looking at Carmen with my eyes and shoulders, but I love this pass. And then Sav, that's a touch pass. Or a mode change where you hit both feet and change direction, finish on the other side of the paint. But you can't keep your momentum going in the same direction.